Great.
Welcome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jody Maloney, and I am the coordinator for Mason College Access Network, and I'm welcoming Chloe Heitz today from University of Michigan. She's the admissions counselor there who is serving Mason, Oceana, and Manistee counties. Chloe, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited to hear about U of M and what it has to offer.
Thanks, Jody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that is all right. Perfect. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So welcome everybody. My name is Chloe. Thank you so much for watching this. Excited that you are excited about the University of Michigan. Like Jody said, I am the admissions counselor for your area. I'm also a pretty recent University of Michigan graduate myself, finished up in 2019 with a degree in environmental science. So absolutely willing to answer any questions that you all have. You can email me anytime if you have questions about the admissions process or just Michigan in general. So I'm going to start by just giving a really brief overview of the University of Michigan, but I'm going to spend a bulk of my time talking about our academics and our application process. So to start things off, just to kind of orient you, the University of Michigan is located in the city of Ann Arbor. You really can't talk about U of M without talking about Ann Arbor because we are so intertwined with the Ann Arbor community. That means that you are going to be living and learning right downtown next to all the restaurants and the shops and the fun things to do downtown. And our students really love living in Ann Arbor. We were ranked the #4 best place to live last year by a magazine. And people really like sticking around Ann Arbor. It's a really fun community. And you really are part of the downtown, not just U of M's campus. So it's a pretty unique experience. Also want to talk a little bit about the students you're going to find living on our campus. We do have students from all 50 states in the US, every single county in Michigan, as well as over 120 countries internationally. So that means that you're going to be living and learning with people from all over the world. And we think that that makes your experience on campus better. We think that it makes your course discussions more interesting, learning from others with different perspectives than you. And you're going to be, housed randomly most of the time. So you will be living with people from all over the world as well. Once you and all of these students from all over the world graduate together, you guys are all going to join one of the largest living alumni bases in the world. We have over 630,000 living alumni living everywhere you can imagine, doing any sort of job you can imagine. I'm sorry that I look so ghostly white right now. I'm alone in the office, so the lights often go out, but I promise I'm okay. So like I was talking about the Alumni Network, it is a great resource for our students. They really love joining the Alumni Network after graduation because that is kind of like having a built-in connection anywhere you'd like to live, anywhere you'd like to get a job. And it often does result in job offers for our students if they do those informational interviews. So that would be a resource that you could take advantage of. Also, just going to highlight a couple things that you can do on our campus no matter what you study. So the first thing is going to be research. We are the #1 public research institution in the country. Last year, we invested over $1.6 billion in research. So essentially, we're putting a lot of money into research. Your professors, the other graduate student instructors, they're going to be doing cutting edge research in anything you can study at Michigan. So that's anything from the natural sciences all the way through the arts and humanities and performing arts even. So anything that you want to study, anything that you want to pursue on campus, there are also research opportunities available for you there. You can do research as soon as you are a student on our campus, your first year. You can do research either for credit towards your degree, or you can do it as a part-time paid position. A lot of our students are also going to be doing some self-guided research towards the end of their academic career here. So their junior and their senior year, lots of options for you to kind of craft your own research project and do some sort of capstone. Also want to talk about just how you can get involved on our campus. We do have over 1,600 student organizations, so you can really do anything, right? You could do something related to your academics. Maybe you want to join one of our business or entrepreneurship related clubs. I was in the environmental science club on campus because that's what I studied. But maybe you're just interested in joining a few clubs that are going to be fun and help you build community on our campus, and we certainly have those as well. We have things like the Michigan Climbing Club or the Ice Carving Club. We have a fantasy football club, really anything that you are interested in doing, a hobby that you have or a hobby that you'd like to try out, we have it on our campus. Okay, So that was an extremely brief overview of student life at Michigan. So again, if you guys have more questions about student life, about study abroad, or any of the other things you can do on campus, take a look at our website or email me and I will connect you with those resources and give you any information that I can. But I want to make sure that we talk about the admissions process because that is the most important information I can give you today. So the first thing we're going to talk about are the different academic paths you can choose at Michigan. So we do have 7 first-year admitting units, and when you fill out your common application to come to the University of Michigan, you do need to pick one of these 7 first-year schools or colleges to apply to. You can't just apply to the University of Michigan as a whole. So I'm just going to give a brief overview of these so you all have a better idea of which school or college you would apply to. Most of our students apply to LSA. It is our biggest and our broadest unit. I was an LSA student as an environmental science major, and they have any sort of major you can imagine, really, anything from the natural sciences all the way through the humanities and social sciences. No matter what you study in LSA, you are also going to complete different distribution requirements. So these are going to be classes that you have to take electives in natural science, social science, humanities, and a few other areas like quantitative reasoning, so some sort of math, along with a course related to race and ethnicity, some foreign language, etc. So you are going to get an extremely well-rounded degree. Perfect example of that, I was an environmental science student, but obviously, as you can see now, I am an admissions counselor, and that's because LSA set me up with really great critical thinking and writing skills to be prepared for a variety of different positions. We also have the College of Engineering. So the rest of the academic units I'm going to talk about are much more specific than LSA. So essentially, you should probably be applying to LSA unless you're very interested in one of these more specific schools or colleges. The first is the College of Engineering. They have 17 specific engineering majors that you would declare sometime in your sophomore year, and that degree is going to be extremely math and science focused. So in contrast to LSA, where you're getting that huge, well-rounded degree, in engineering, you're going to almost exclusively take math and science courses with only like 3 or 4 elective courses. So it's just a much more focused degree. All of our units other than LSA, we of course have career services for every student, but the more specific the unit is, the more specific the career resources get. For example, for the College of Engineering, they have an engineering specific career fair. So that would be a reason that you would apply to engineering. If you are that math and science student, they're going to set you up for success in a very specific career field. We also have the School of Nursing. This is pretty straightforward. You would go here if you'd like to be a nurse. So they only have 1 degree type. It's a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, but it allows them to have really small class sizes. Their average class size is even smaller than our campus-wide average of 15 students to 1 faculty. And they move in a lockstep program. So you and all of your peers in the same grade as you are going to be taking those courses at the same time. So you really get close with the other people in your cohort. We also have the School of Kinesiology. Kinesiology is the study of human movement. So this is going to be a very heavily anatomy and physiology based degree. Great for our students who are interested in maybe being a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. Students will often ask if they should apply to kinesiology if they're interested in being pre-med, pre-medicine or pre-dental or pre-whatever. I would encourage you, if you are pre-medicine, even pre-law, any sort of pre-professional interest, to apply to LSA. And that's because you can major in whatever major you'd like and then add on that pre-professional, those courses as an advising model. So it would not be a major that you would declare. Our pre-med students are majoring in anything from biology or chemistry all the way through things like Spanish or political science. And we make sure that you take all of the required prerequisite courses in addition to what you're taking for your major, because LSA has much more flexibility than any other degree. So if you're interested in being a doctor, being a lawyer, anything that you need to go to graduate school for, I would encourage that you look at LSA. Okay. The next 3 I can talk about just briefly. There are talent-based units. So not only would you need to apply using the common application, you would need to send in some sort of talent sample to that unit. First is the Stamp School of Art and Design for students interested in things like painting or sculpting or photography, any sort of artistic discipline. We also have the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. They have over 40 very specific majors, things like musical theater, voice performance, acting, really any instrument that you could think of, they have a major for it there. We finally have the College of Architecture and Urban Planning. You would go here if you would like to be an architect. Most of our students are going to do this 4-year program and then do a 1-year master's and afterwards be a practicing architect. So like I said, all of these units, you're going to have to fill out the common application and submit a separate artistic sample, depending on which school or college you're applying to that unit specifically to be reviewed separately, because here in our office, I am certainly not qualified to review your talent samples at all. Final thing, you can only apply to one school or college at a time. So often students that have multiple interests are going to say, Chloe, I just can't pick. Can I apply to both LSA and engineering? The answer is no. You do need to pick one of those units to apply to. It is certainly possible that you can transfer between units once you're on campus, but we just need to get you admitted to one to get you on campus. And if you're really, really not sure, I would point you towards LSA. The one exception is maybe you are really talented, you're great at, I don't know, playing the cello, but you're also very academically qualified, right? If you are interested in doing both some sort of academic major and some sort of talent major, you can apply to both of those schools. So you could apply to LSA and SMTD or engineering and art and design. You just can't apply to 2 academic units. Also want to talk about our upper level programs. This is not necessarily something you need to worry about right now. Most of these programs are available to you as a rising sophomore or a rising junior once you've been admitted to one of these first year admitting units and you complete the prerequisite courses for that program and then apply to transfer into the program later on in your career. The one exception is the Ross School of Business. So if you're interested in studying business, the thing you need to do is first apply to one of our first year admitting units, usually LSA. Then you're also going to indicate that you would like to apply to the Ross School of Business via preferred admissions. So the way it happens in our office, first we'll get your LSA application. I will be one of the people that read it. We're going to give you a yes or a no. If you get into LSA, great, you're admitted to Michigan. And then we would send your application over to Ross. So Ross will only review you if you have been admitted to a first year admitting unit and you are a Michigan admitted student. Ross will review your common application as well as a supplementary business portfolio that you have to submit separately to their website. I will never see that portfolio. It is only for Ross, and they're going to give you a yes or a no. If you get into Ross, great. You can come to our campus and be a Ross student and study business. But if you don't get into Ross, you can still keep your seat in wherever you were already admitted because we admitted you, so you can keep that seat. You could pick up a Ross business minor on our campus. You could study economics or entrepreneurship. There's a few different options for you as a student on our campus, even if you're not a Ross student to study business. Okay, so that was all of the complicated academic programs you can choose. I promise you it's pretty simple once you figure out what you want to major in or what you're interested in studying. Just wanted to make sure you knew all of your options before we talked about the application. Before I start talking about the application, just want to kind of explain our process a bit. Michigan gets a ton of applications, as I'm sure you are aware. So I just like to mention to students, we are going to read your application no matter what. We don't throw away applications if you're under a certain score. We're not putting them through a computer program to screen them. I promise you they get read start to finish at least twice. So you are going to get a fair look. We don't like grade it like a test. Nothing is like weighted more than anything else. We are really just people trying to learn about who you are inside and outside of the classroom. We're going to give you a holistic review. Before I get into what we're looking at specifically, I just want to give a few COVID updates. So the first thing is we've canceled all of our in-person campus visits and events through December. We will obviously keep you posted on when we're going to reopen to the public, but our main priority is keeping you and our current students safe. So just keep an eye on our website. We do have some new virtual resources if you go to the admissions page that you could explore to kind of help you learn about campus without actually coming to campus. We also have some slightly different application requirements this year. We realize that many of your tests, your SATs and your ACTs have been canceled probably like 10 times, right? We absolutely realize that that is a problem. So this year we are test flexible. And that means if you are unable to give us a test score because your test was canceled or whatever reason you don't have a test score, we're not going to require it. So if you don't have a test score, you do not need to submit it. We will just review you without it. You are still fully eligible for all of our scholarships, either need-based or merit-based, and it won't penalize you in any way. We are also allowing students to self-report their test score this year. Usually in years past, we've needed the official school report sent from whatever testing agency it was, but this year we're allowing students to self-report. This should hopefully accommodate you, especially if you took like an October or even an early November test. After you submit your application, even if it's past the deadline, you can still update us with the new score. So you can do that either through self-reporting in your application before you submit it, or you submit your application by the deadline to qualify for early action, right? And we'll talk about deadlines in a bit. But if you get a new test score, even after you apply, even after our deadline, you can go into our application portal that you'll get a login to after you apply, and you can update us there. So it's really important that if you do have a new or better test score, you keep us posted. Also have a slightly different application deadline this year. Normally our early action deadline is November 1st. This year we've just pushed it back 2 weeks to November 15th. So if you are watching this right now it's November 4th, so you still have time to apply for early action if you have not done so yet. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the actual application and kind of what we're looking for. So the first 3 things I'm going to talk about are very academically focused. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take your transcript and I'm going to give you a new GPA. I'm going to reweight your GPA on an unweighted 4.0 scale. So all of your A's, A minuses, A pluses become a 4.0, B's, B minuses, B pluses become a 3.0, so on and so forth. Once I assign you that new GPA number, if it's anything less than a 4.0, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at your transcript and see where you're getting which grades. So what I mean by that is, say 2 students from your high school have a 3.7 GPA, right? You would think that because it's the same number, the GPA number, that it would look just the same on your applications. That's not necessarily the case. If I look at both the transcripts and the first student has a 3.7 because they've gotten A's all through school and then junior year they start getting some B's, that might look a little less competitive than the other student who maybe has a 3.7 because they had some B's in 9th grade, but by junior year they're getting all A's. So your most recent coursework is what is most important to us. If you have an upward grade trend, even if your GPA seems a little bit low, that can look really competitive to us. We don't have any sort of minimums, like I said before, and I'm always going to be looking at the transcript for kind of the story of your GPA. So don't ever think that because you have a certain GPA number or you got a certain grade in a class that that's going to totally put you out of the running. I promise we are looking for context there to see where you're getting those grades, right? Also going to look at your curriculum because we unweighted your GPA, right? We need to see that you're taking 4 to 5 academic core courses per year. So that's going to be things like math, science, English, history, not things like gym or art or choir or any of those electives. I also want to see that you're challenging the curriculum available to you at your high school. So if your high school does offer APs, I want to see that you're taking some of those. But if your high school doesn't offer any APs, obviously I'm not going to expect you to take them. Maybe your high school only offers some honors classes, so hopefully you're electing some of those, right? I will be very familiar with your high school's curriculum, so I'm never going to expect you to do something that's not available at your high school. Of course, if you're dual enrolling, please let us know. Please give us the transcript. But of course, we would never require dual enrollment. So even if your school doesn't offer very many advanced level courses, I am never requiring you to do dual enrollment. But if you do it, it can be a bonus for us. So just let us know. We also have some different curriculum requirements depending on which school or college you are applying to. No matter if you're applying to Michigan at all, no matter what school or college you're applying to, you need to have 4 years of English, 9th through 12th grade. Most of you are probably just going to have that by being a high school student. It's usually the requirement everywhere, so you should be fine. And then the other requirements are, if you're applying to LSA, the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, that big unit that we talked about before, we need to see that you have taken 2 semesters of a foreign language. So you've taken some sort of level 2 sometime in high school, Spanish 2, French 2, whatever your school offers. If you're applying to the College of Engineering, they have some very specific requirements. So you need to have taken 4 years of math and science, and that is including chemistry, calculus, and physics. Pre-calculus does count as that calculus requirement, but if AP Calc is available at your school, I would highly suggest that you take it if you are applying to engineering. Okay. Final thing we're going to talk about is test scores. We've already talked about self-reporting and being test flexible. So again, if you don't have a test score, no problem. But if you do have a test score, we are going to be looking at your entire score. I'm going to make note of all of your highest subsections. We're even going to look at your super score. So it's in your best interest to give us all of those test scores so that we can make you look the most competitive possible. Also, just want to give a quick note about our test scores, curriculum, and GPA review. I am only ever going to review you in the context of your high school. So you can see our averages on the screen. We give them to you just because students will often ask what our application averages are, but I am never comparing you to this. Your high school counselor is going to send me a report that tells me all about what's offered at your school, the average test score, everything like that. And I'm only comparing you to those statistics. So I am only expecting that you do well in the context of what was available to you at your high school. So again, don't be too intimidated by the average GPA or the average test score, because you will never be compared to this, all right? Okay. Also, one more note, like I said, we don't have any minimums, but the College of Engineering does suggest, they say that their most competitive applicants are going to have a math subscore of at least a 670 on the SAT and at least a 28 on the ACT in the math section. So if you're under that subscore, but you're still really interested in engineering, I would encourage you to just email me and we can talk about that. But I just want to make sure that you all are applying to the unit that you will be most competitive for, okay? All right. So now the fun part of the review, at least for me, I don't know if students like doing this, but I sure like reading it. So we're also going to look at who you are outside of the classroom, right? So the first thing we're going to look at is your extracurriculars. This is pretty straightforward. Tell me what you do outside of school. Are you in any clubs? Do you play any sports? Some less obvious things that we would still accept would be if you work a part-time job, or maybe you have a lot of family responsibilities, right? Maybe you take care of your siblings for a couple hours every day after school because your parents work really late or something. Anything that you are spending time doing outside of school, tell us about it. If you are doing something outside of school, it tells us that you will be a well-involved member of our campus community, which is what we are looking for. This is also your opportunity to brag a little bit. So tell me about the awards and honors that you've received. Tell me about all of your leadership positions. Are you the president of a club? Are you the captain of a sports team? Also, maybe you are an assistant manager at your job, or you have some kind of leadership role at your church. Tell me about that too. Any sort of leadership I can use to make you look more competitive. We're also going to require some recommendations from you. So the first one is going to be an academic teacher recommendation. That is from a teacher that taught you in a core subject. That is the only recommendation we require. So if you have one of those, you're all set. If you want to submit additional letters of recommendation, you are welcome to, but I would ask that you try and cap it around 3. I promise you, once you get over 3 letters of recommendation, it almost never makes a student look more competitive than they already are, and it just starts getting a bit repetitive. You can be a little bit strategic here, maybe pick teachers to give you recommendations from very different subjects, maybe ask an academic teacher and someone that knows you outside of school, like a sports coach or your boss at your part-time job, something like that. I'm also going to get a school report from your counselor, and that's going to tell me, like I said earlier, all the average test scores and what's available at your school curriculum-wise. But they also have the opportunity to write you a letter of recommendation here, although it is absolutely not required, and you're not disadvantaged at all if you don't have it. Okay, finally, we have the essays. So you're going to give me one general common application essay. You can pick any of the prompts. I promise you, we don't care which one you pick. So my best advice here, we don't get to interview you guys, right? I wish that I could talk to all of you individually, but I don't get to because we have so many applicants. So this is where I'm learning about who you are. So just try and pick a prompt that you can tell me about yourself with, right? Write the most personal essay that you can. Tell me the most, whatever is really important that you think that I should know about you. The 2 U of M essays, I can give you some more specific tips on because we actually wrote the prompts for them. So for the community essay, tell me about a community that you belong to. Maybe it's a community with your race or ethnicity, or your church community, your religious community. Maybe it's your hometown community. Maybe it's community with a club that you're in. Students will also get pretty creative here. I read one this past week from a girl who said she was in the community of people who eat pickles and peanut butter together. So that one was kind of gross for me, but it was very unique, very funny. And you guys can just really talk about whatever you want. I'm not looking for something specific. I'm really just looking to learn more about you. So if you're funny, you can make this funny. If you have a really specific hobby that's important to you, you can talk about that. Really just tell me something about yourself here. The Why Michigan essay is exactly what it sounds like. Why do you want to go to the University of Michigan? The strongest Why Michigan essays are going to have some specific research done before them. So by research, really all I mean is getting on your phone and doing like an hour of Googling, but I want to see some very specific stuff in here. You already know what you want to study. Maybe tell me about a couple classes you're excited to take, or something about a major that you found that you're really excited about. If you're totally undecided, that's fine too. Tell me about a study abroad program that you found, or something about our dorms, or something about Ann Arbor that you're excited about. something that tells me if I admit this student, I think that they're likely to come because I can tell that they're really interested in Michigan, right? Finally, we do have an optional COVID-19 impact essay this year. This is just your space to tell me anything that you need to tell me. Maybe you had to take a course pass-fail due to COVID. Maybe your sport or your organization got canceled halfway through the year due to COVID. Maybe your test date got canceled, like I said before, 10 times. Anything you need to tell me, you can just use this space, but again, it is optional. Whew, okay, so that's basically all I have for you. Let me talk at you at like 1 more minute and then we will be good. So this is our senior timeline. Please, please, please apply by November 15th. It really helps me make you the most competitive possible in our process. Also, please, please, please apply for financial aid by December 15th. It's very easy to apply for aid at Michigan. All you need to do is fill out the FAFSA and the CSS profile. These are 2 forms that you can find on the Office of Financial Aid's website, and they're very similar to each other. It's going to qualify you for every single merit or need-based scholarship that we offer. Also, because you all are in-state students, you have a very strong advantage in our financial aid process because we prioritize our in-state students first. We're going to match the full need that you have. If your family makes less than $65,000 a year with less than $50,000 in assets, you qualify for the Go Blue guarantee. You don't have to do anything additional. Like I said, just fill out the FAFSA and the CSS profile, and you're going to get tuition for free at Michigan. You are also probably going to get more grant or scholarship money to cover your housing and books and other costs. I would say that a lot of my in-state students are very nervous about cost at Michigan because that sticker price is so high. Even if you are scared about the cost at Michigan, please still apply. Please still apply for financial aid because generally my in-state students are extremely pleasantly surprised with the financial aid offers that they get. And you're going to know way before you would have to make a decision about whether or not you're coming to Michigan as long as you turn those forms in on time. Okay. That is all the information I have to give you today. I wish we had more time. I could talk on and on, as you can probably tell. My contact information is on the screen. My name is Chloe Hypes, so my email is just hypeclo@umich.edu. Feel free to email me if you all have any questions, and I hope that you are staying healthy and safe during this season. Thank you. Jody, I'm so sorry. I think you're muted.
There's so much for students to learn and know. And so I'm just really curious about you and your experience when you were applying to U of M. So when did you decide that U of M was something that you were interested in as far as an academic pursuit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Stockbridge, Michigan. Most people probably don't know where it is because it's a pretty small town, similar to probably where a lot of you are from. So I was looking to go to a larger institution, and I think Michigan just really fit the bill because I knew that I would probably get a lot of financial aid from there. I was also very undecided, but Michigan's programs, really, if you're undecided, Michigan is a great bet because 90% of our programs are in the top 20 nationally. So kind of wherever you end up is going to be a very well-resourced program. And the thing that I love the most about Michigan is that I had some ideas of what I wanted to do, and I knew that I could go to Michigan and study a bunch of different things at once. So I ended up studying environmental science, but I did some study abroads doing different things, and I did internships related to other things. And it really gave me a diverse, well-rounded educational experience that I don't think I could have gotten at a smaller institution.
So if there's one thing that you can recommend for students who are looking into U of M that they just have to check out when they're there, if they are able to visit campus or if they become students, what's the one thing that maybe was your favorite experience or the one thing that you say is a can't miss?
Well, once you are a student on our campus, even if you don't like football, you have to go to a Michigan football game. We do have the largest football stadium in North America. It is an insane experience. There's over 100,000 people that attend every game. It is super fun. But if you're just on campus, I would say that Ann Arbor is a super fun downtown community, but people don't often realize that there's a lot of stuff to also do in nature. So I would suggest going and checking out Nichols Arboretum. It's a really cool foresty area. If you go in the summer, they have these beautiful peony gardens. They have a bunch of trails. It also butts right up against the Huron River. And in the summer, you can see students like tubing down the river and kayaking, and I've even taken like a paddleboard Pilates class over there. So I think that the option to still be in nature in the downtown community of Ann Arbor is super fun.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful sharing. And students, you heard November 15th, so you've got a window of opportunity. Please apply.